I would like to call the Personnel Committee meeting for the Frederick County School Board to order. The date is September 8th, 2024, and the time is 4:33. We have an agenda before us. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I would love to second that motion, sorry.
A motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I will now pass over to Dr. Hummer and his team.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Greatly appreciate that. So we have a couple items before you this evening up for discussion. The first item on the agenda is, if you don't mind going to the next slide for me, team, that would be fantastic, is we are going to provide you all with some staffing updates as well as the kickoff to the 24-25 school year, provide you all with all of the efforts and work that our HR office has been doing in regards to filling our vacancies, as well as providing you an update of what those vacancies are and currently look like. We also have an update to our recruitment and retention in regards to the efforts we're making to continuously fill these positions as well as keeping these positions. And so we're going to be talking about that. Then we're going to provide you with two preliminary items in regards to two policy regulations that we're working on, and we want to just provide you with some preliminary information on classroom decor and flags, as well as an employee code of conduct. These are two items that we've been working on, and we want to provide you with information of where we are and the next steps that we're going to be taking with each of those items. So for each of these four items, they are for information only, and then of course, as you have questions, please feel free to speak up and ask those. So with that, I'll now hand it over to Mrs. Frakely and her team, unless, Mr. Chair, there's any initial questions.
No, there are none.
Okay.
All right, good evening. So we're going to break this up into a couple parts, just like Dr. Hummer said. You'll be hearing tonight from Kristen Campbell, Assistant Director, as well as Miss Rachel Rinker, our Supervisor of Recruitment and Retention, my esteemed colleague, Miss Caitlin Jordan, and then I'll wrap up with Employee Code of Conduct. So I'll turn it over to Miss Campbell.
Okay. Good afternoon. So we're going to start with the information that we see every personnel committee, and that is our vacancy information. So you can see where we stand. This was as of August 29th. And in comparison to where we were last year, you can see that we're still trending quite a bit higher in most of our areas. And this is just the professional positions. So you see the teacher and professional and administrator positions. So I'll give you a second to look at that. All right, and moving to the next slide, we have the breakdown of all of these positions. As we all know, special education remains our highest need area, so we have 20 vacancies in that, and then it goes down from there. So these are in order of the number of vacancies in each subject area.
Just a question, I'm not trying to sound stupid. How do we get a 0.5 on a vacancy?
So some of the positions are split. Are you looking back at the
previous?
Yeah, the
I'm just
4.5.
curious.
Yeah, so some of the positions are split amongst different
Okay.
schools, so that's probably what that came from.
Thank you.
Can you go
That's a
back,
great
please?
question.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I may. So can you go back one more, please? Where was the special education?
Next one.
The next one, yeah.
Oh, sorry, there it is. So we have 20 vacancies, and what was it last year, the total?
The special education total was 17 last year, so it has been trending high every year.
Yep. Oh, it is everywhere.
Right.
What is it specifically that we're doing to try and attract more special ed teachers?
So Rachel has been very busy trying to look at all of our applicants. One thing she's doing is reaching out to people that have applied for other areas. Maybe it's a PE teacher. Special education is unique because they can take one class and get a provisional license. So it's a little bit easier from a licensure standpoint. So she's reaching out to people. I think she's had some success with that, actually. People that are interested in saying, okay, I'll try for education, take that course, or special education and take that course. The other thing that we're doing is heavy advertising, looking at the Grow Your Own programs, looking at people within our division that might be interested in pursuing teaching. Sign-on bonuses and incentives. We are talking about some additional ways that we can incentivize individuals. So if you have any other ideas that we can add on to that, we certainly welcome that.
Okay. With the people that you're having success with, can they go into the classroom while they're taking the class, or do they have to wait until after they've completed the course?
Yeah, they have to complete that course in order to be certified. They could do a long-term sub option, but they can't case manage with that. It's very strict,
I
so we
see.
would have to have others case manage during that time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we have our support staff vacancies. So again, you can see in the comparison between this year and last year. So we're doing much better with our instructional assistant vacancies, and overall, we're trending a little bit lower. I'll give you a second to look at that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have an adequate number of bus drivers, or are we short on those as well?
What we're hearing from transportation is that we're in a much better position, I think, than we have been in the past in terms of being able to cover all the routes.
Thank you.
So the next slide we've seen each time as well. These are the vacancies that we've filled as of August 29th, and just keeping a running total of that for this fiscal year. Includes new hires, individuals transferring positions, and then the total overall by category. And then we look at the breakdown of the years of experience of our brand new hires to FCPS. So we have a nice range of different levels of experience, with most of our new hires being at the 0 to 2 years. Keep going? Okay. Okay. All right. So the next piece of information is an update on our substitutes. And this is an area where we're really focusing a lot of attention right now to make sure that we have coverage options for vacancies and individuals who are out on leave. So we have about 432 substitutes, 29 filling long-term roles. We've added 10 since July 31st, and we're continuing to have additional orientations. So substitutes coming to upcoming orientations is 9, and then we have 22 kind of in the wings there, ready to attend future orientations.
Can I ask, so far as the current number of substitutes, how many of them are actively trying to fill permanent slots?
That is a great question. We can get that information for you. We do every year look at our substitutes to see who is actively working, and if they're not, we reach out to them, and if they're not working at all during the year, typically they would come off the roster, or if there's an exceptional situation, we can invite them to come back. So we try to keep that list current so that it's only people that are accepting positions, but we can pull that information to see. Would you like to see anyone that's worked within the past year, or just kind of what that looks like in terms of
Last year,
information? Okay, we can get that for you.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to the number of substitutes that we have, 432, what's the number that you're comfortable with in the sense of how many you totally want?
I think we would probably have to dig into the analysis of that information to see, because those are not just teacher subs, but subs for other categories like custodians and nutrition. I think we could use more subs in all areas, but
Sure.
some
Could
of
you-
it depends on availability of
Would
the
it be
sub.
possible to break this out into the different
Yeah,
categories of
absolutely.
subs so that we can see where the numbers are, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for that. We are going to invite Rachel Rinker up next to talk about recruitment and retention.
Doesn't seem fair. You have to stand, they get to sit.
I know, right?
What makes you think I'm kidding?
And to add on one thing about the substitutes, I know that you didn't see a number that says 432. It sounds like a whole lot of substitutes. The frequency in which those subs work might also be information that we should pull for you to review, because sometimes the subs will get on the list and say, I might sub this year, and they might sub once, twice. So the frequency in which that they sub might also be something we should look at.
Right, and just to piggyback off that, the onboarding process for substitutes, when we have folks, the goal is always to get subs in that want that long-term assignment, that show up regularly, because we onboard them, and there's a cost and a time with labor to do that onboarding. So it really is our goal to keep that pool current and working, so that we can, get our bang for our buck with the onboarding effort that goes into that as well.
We've been working really closely with our newly onboarded subs to talk to them about, I'm loud enough. To right off the bat say, are you interested in anything long-term? Or what are you open to? What are you open to trying? And then I've been trying to place people, helping them get at least as their first few weeks. Let's try some of these schools. Let's try this. This might be a good fit for you. So we've been trying to make it more personalized instead of more blanket, and that seems to have been successful. We did get a couple of long-term subs out of that last 10 that we onboarded, so that was successful. We want to, well, that was much louder. I feel like I need to take a step backwards. We want to start all of these meetings as far as the recruitment and retention update with some celebrations. Due to the work of the board and Dr. Hummer, our special education department chair positions that are at all of our middle schools and high schools and at several of our elementary schools positions are already being filled. That's been very successful. We've had great feedback from principals when they're in this position, once they actually get the position, that it's been very helpful. We're working to revamp the interview process to make it better for both the interviewers and the interviewees. In the past, sometimes we've had people interview several times for the same position, and then they're kind of subjected to the same 20 questions, which takes them an hour and a half, sometimes 2 and 3 times. And so we want to make that process better for the interviewees as well as the interviewers. We're working to screen applicants ahead of time. I'm working with principals to make sure that applicants are going into the interview process understanding what their salary might be, so that they don't interview and then inevitably decline, which saves on it just makes for a more efficacious process. We did purchase Top School Jobs from the suggestion of Ms. Wright. This hiring platform reaches over 100,000 educators nationwide and is now being used to post vacancies. The great thing about Top School Jobs, it is attached to Ed Week, which is a really fantastic and very popular newsletter from, and it's all around the nation. So everybody that gets that newsletter receives our vacancies, and when they click on our vacancy, it takes them right to our platform, so there's no go-between. They go directly to our platform and apply using our process, so we don't have to have any extra process in place.
And Rachel, if you don't mind, since this went to press, because we back it up for when it gets posted, We have renamed special education lead. So when you see that out on our job sites and job postings, the special education department chair is now called the special education lead position.
That we had already submitted this, right? So we
Yes,
couldn't go back and change it.
exactly.
Mr. Chair, if we can just elaborate a little bit more onto how we came up with that, if you don't mind sharing, I can share it unless you.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah,
Please.
so the reason we did that is because we currently have special education department chairs that are in our buildings, but they were serving dual roles. So they were actually triple roles because they were case managing, they were teaching, and then they were also taking on these department chair responsibilities, which is a significant oversight. So once we determined that we needed this position, it's a 12-month position, we wanted to make sure that we delineated between the two names. So we created this lead position, and then these positions are still going to currently stay, but they're going to be a 504 coordinator, so they're still going to take on those responsibilities. And the reason we came up with that is because we had conversations with our principals in regards to the logistics of the day-to-day in the oversight of special education and 504s. And based on the amount of work and the oversight, they recommended that they keep that position in their building to oversee the 504 coordinator role, as well as taking on that special education role, which is a big oversight. So that was after conversations with them, and we're going to continue to monitor that and continue to seek feedback on how we can support the schools and to support the students in their building. So thank you, Mrs. Frakely, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
You ready?
Any questions about any of those?
How much effect does the principal opinion affect the hiring of a teacher?
Well, just like in, all processes, everyone on the hiring board or on the hiring committee would have a say. I think inevitably the principal's opinion might weigh more heavily than others, but any interview committee that I've ever been on or that I've ever led, we listen to all of the members of the committee. We make sure that they have a say. We make sure that we hear their opinions fully. So it's a group decision based on whoever is involved in that interview committee. That is something that I think through the interview process that we are revamping who is a part of that interview committee, because I think that that's possibly different in different buildings. And so that's something that we could tighten up and make more streamlined.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Just to clarify, so right now, the hiring committees you have in each school are filled with different positions. They're not all the same.
Almost always are the administrators, and then depending on the position, so if it is a custodian position, you might include your head custodian.
Sure.
But then if the head custodian isn't available, the administrators might interview without the head custodian, as well as like a special education teacher. They might include their special education lead, or they might include a department chair. But that's not always the case, so I just think it needs to be more streamlined who we're involving in our interview process to make sure we have a streamlined voice across the division.
I see. And do you include anyone from this building into the interview
Yes.
group?
Yes, absolutely. So in instructional positions, instructional supervisors that work in our instructional department are almost always included. I know for nutrition positions, Penny Curry tries to sit in as many of those interviews as possible. We have included Jean Harper Smith for custodian positions
Good.
in the past. Sometimes that doesn't always happen due to timing of things and
course.
scheduling and things like that. But yes, as far as division support, and then sometimes they include me if they can't find, just if someone can't represent the division, then sometimes I'm kind of like a Hail Mary.
Sure. I know Caitlin would love to be in every single one of them.
Yeah,
so
she
you
told
should
me that before this
definitely-
meeting.
Yeah.
We had a conversation, she told me that.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking out for you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
We are in flux at this point with the applications and the interviews. We're going to be updating from what I understand.
We're in the infancy stages of that. So we're developing who should be on these committees to make these decisions as far as what stakeholders need to be involved in even talking about the processes. And then, of course, those processes would go to Dr. Hummer, and then, he would need to approve them in whatever fashion that he would find appropriate. But we're just starting this. So this is something that's new and actually came with Dr. Hummer, because when Dr. Hummer took office, he really worked to streamline the processes as far as the division interviews, but at the schools, they've kind of stayed the same. So we want to kind of make sure that we have a process across the board. Is office not the right word? I don't know. When he took the superintendency, the President Hummer. Yeah. So we just want to make sure that the division interview process and the school interview process isn't wildly different, and that we do have some semblance of structure across the board.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So when we do these interviews, is it, I'm going to assume we have some type of forms. Are they standardized through the whole
Correct.
division, or does one school use this set and another, everybody uses the
For
same thing?
professional positions, they are all streamlined. So
Right. So like if we were going to interview a janitor, each school would have the same set of.
we do have a set of questions
Okay.
that go to the buildings, but over the course of the years, I've been in 5 different buildings, and those might have a little bit of a different version here and there that have been like, oh, I use this one and we use this one. I just think we have a little bit of work to do, but yes, they are largely streamlined.
The goal is, though, to standardize it all the way across the board,
Correct.
correct? Okay, thank you.
And to make it more concise and efficient and just enjoyable for all parties.
Rachel, if you don't mind. So we have a current process in place, and this is not to say that we don't. It's just Rachel has been great in accepting her new role of recruitment and retention, to just like anybody else coming in new with a fresh set of eyes, giving it that needs analysis. So we're grateful for her in that work. So just to make sure you all know, this isn't building from the ground up. It's
they
tweaking.
weren't just like good luck guys.
Right, it's
interview.
tweaking what we
there's definitely
currently
a process
have.
in place. I just think
Yes, ma'am.
when President Hummer took office, and he streamlined things at the division level, I think it just makes sense to make sure we're mimicking that at the buildings.
All right.
So the end result of the applications and the questions we as a board will be part of that process.
Mr. Chair, so the part of the process that the school board is part of is ratifying my decision. So I get the recommendations from the staff. I recommend those to be hired or not to you all, and then you ratify my decision. And that is the policy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Rachel, I'm going to click you forward. Is that good? Okay.
Another celebration, we do have a decreased turnover rate from last year to this year. Last year's turnover rate was almost 17%. We are down to 13%. I know that seems a little confusing, because when you look at our vacancies, we do have more vacancies professionally. We have decreased our classified vacancies, so that is something that contributed to this turnover rate being less. And then we have added positions too. So those look vacant, but so we have currently 13 accountability specialist positions in that category, but those were positions that were added. So it looks a little bit wonky if you look at the vacancies versus the turnover rate. But we have, through the work of the board and the budgeting process, I think we've really seen success with our classified staff, and that's really contributed to a better turnover rate for our division.
Mr. Chair, if I may, do you include retirees into this turnover rate?
Yes.
You do? Because I would think that would be something you'd break out. I know it's turnover because you're turning over the position, but it's different than losing someone to a different school.
We could do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the data pieces that we talked about that we would like to include in next month's update is how many years of service that someone is spending on average when they are a part of this turnover, because we know that for years and years and years, we are keeping 85% or more of our teachers that are years 0 to 2. So we know that our mentoring program, we know that the supports that we have in the schools right now, we're keeping our youngest teachers, because we have to report that to the state, so we know that data, but we're curious. When are we starting to lose people? When is that happening? So next month, that'll be something that's a part of the update for you all.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
In addition, we have some unique ideas. The employment team has been busy just kind of, spitballing ideas and trying to find some new things. We are going to have some community open house opportunities. These are going to be very low key, where community members are just invited to come in and have conversations with us to talk about, hey, what are you good at? What do you want to do? What options might you have in our division? So they're going to be very personal. We're going to have snacks, and we're just going to invite people in to talk to us about employment opportunities. We also would like to extend that inevitably. We know from the last meeting that the data says that the staff left largely because they were seeking growth and advancement. That was the largest chunk of data that we saw. So we want to make sure that we're also opening up opportunities for staff to say, what opportunities do we have that are within our division, and how can we help you get there? I think that we do have benefits, and I know that Tashika and I are working really hard on making sure people know what's available to them, because sometimes I don't know that they're taking advantage of all of those opportunities. So those are just the summation of some of the celebrations over the last month. We are working right now to schedule career fairs. We're focusing heavily in 3 states, New York, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. We can compete with West Virginia salaries, and then New York and Pennsylvania, the jobs are much more competitive. So we are focusing, strategically scheduling fairs in those 3 states, but we're also looking at all of our options. We have a platform called Handshake. Handshake tells us all of the job fairs that are available, not all of them, but a huge chunk of them. And I have reviewed every single one to figure out which ones that we think will be, the most benefit for what we pay for them. In January of 2025, we are planning a virtual employment open house. We're going to find a better name for it, but we couldn't, and that's not my strong point. So we're going to find a better name for it. But we want just people to we want virtually, we do have, because we have top school jobs and we have really widened our net of where we can pull people from, having a career fair, the local career fair is incredibly great. Last year, we hired 29 of the 63 that attended our fair, so it is by far our most successful event, but we do want to have something and just out there to see if we can catch some of the other people and just have conversations with them. We're in the planning stages of that as well.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, if I may. Emperor Hummer's Groovy Open House. What do you think?
Write it down, Daryl.
I will.
If you could write that down for me,
Sure.
we'll certainly propose that.
My,
to the
my
team.
real question, though, is, for the career fairs, do you look at teacher colleges that are traditionally teacher colleges, like in New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and why not in, say, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Maryland?
In what I can find, and I don't have hard and fast numbers for you. So
Sure.
this is sort of a big blanket statement that I'm saying without hard data in front of us. But from what I can review, the job fairs that we have attended in the last several years post-COVID in those states, we've not had any hires from those
see.
states.
Okay.
So we do have a part when someone goes into our platform on Talent Ed, they do have the capability to say like how they heard about us. And we've added top school jobs to that to see if we can figure out, if that's worth our purchase. But in looking in those states, and I was one that went to North Carolina a few times, but we just didn't get anyone, maybe because it's not as competitive right now, so they don't have to relocate, but they might be willing to relocate from other states. So we're continuing to look into that data to see what worked for us post-COVID and how we can get creative with where we're putting our money.
Do you think the fact that Virginia is a right-to-work state without unions and these other states have teachers' unions that are more powerful and effective have anything to do with the difficulty in attracting teachers to Virginia?
I would say that I don't know enough about that to give you a good enough answer about how that would affect recruitment in our state. I would say that for the most part, if people aren't coming to Virginia, I think that they don't recognize what we can offer them.
I see.
And so I think, and also they just want to stay local. Their families are local. They've lived there. You know, before COVID, when it was a more competitive market, we did pull from job fairs, and then from lots of different states. That data has lessened
Gotcha.
post-COVID. So we want to make sure, and the employment team as well as our supervisors are working really hard to look at where we put money last year, and is that a good investment, and how can we use that money to best benefit our students and to get good people in front of kids.
Thank you.
Ready to move on?
This is just another way of looking at the focus on special education. When we talk about a level 2 teacher, it works with students that are in a specialized setting for more than 50% of the school day. So these are, if you hear anyone referencing a learning center, those are a level 2. Those teachers are level 2. At this juncture, we are in crisis for those teachers. That is where we have spent a lot of our work. We're working closely with the Special Instructional Services Department, with Cabinet, with our team to try and come up with some unique ideas. But this is still our priority. These students are some of our neediest students that need the most attention and need the most specialized care, and we are having the most trouble filling these positions than any other position, including what we would call a cross-categorical position, which would be a level 1 special education teacher.
Why is high school level isn't included?
It's included together. Secondary is middle and high school.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for me?
You did very well, thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I will just say, before we jump into this introduction, last month you heard from the fabulous Tashika Edwards-Johnson and the Employee Services team. They are currently up to their eyeballs in open enrollment. So they're doing a fantastic job taking care of that, as well as all of the other benefit and leave needs. And she'll be back online hopefully next month with a bigger update, other than open enrollment is going well, and we are working through that. And I will just say, we are working through that this year on paper. We're hoping to not have to report that again to you ever. That's a different discussion, but we're hoping to get some technology in place so that we're not doing open enrollment for all 3,000 people going forward. Okay, so I will turn it over to Ms. Jordan.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. We have had something come before us, and staff has been working on a possible new policy. We currently don't have a policy like this. Essentially, our school buildings are educational spaces that should promote the instructional goals and objectives that have been adopted by the school board. Currently, we don't have a policy that provides clarification for our staff about what should be or should not be in classrooms. The closest we have is right now in 512P regarding political activities. It does say teachers can't distribute or promote political information or materials, but other than that, there's really not a lot of clarification in our policy. And so we're looking to see what policy we can put in place just to provide that clarification for our staff.
May I, at this point, how does a history teacher not have posters or information hung on their billboard to explain how the history has affected the class, students.
What, or Dr. Hummer?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, thank you for that question. Keep in mind that we currently have a practice. Our practice is that if there is a piece of decor that needs to go onto a wall, it has to be associated with the curriculum. So we do have history teachers that do have political posters or something to do with the curriculum that are hanging on the wall to teach the students about what is part of that particular curriculum. What we are talking about is more across the board to making sure that we have a structure and a policy in place in regards to what's on the walls of other classrooms that have nothing to do with that particular curriculum. We want to make sure that's very clear for our teachers, and we want to make sure that it's very clear for the administrators that are supervising those teachers. So currently, we do have that information up in the classrooms, and it's something that we monitor to make sure that it is content neutral in regards to what is on walls. And we've had conversations with staff about that, but we want to put this into policy to make sure it's clear for everybody.
Okay, so then an individual instructor may have personal opinions about things. How do you control that factor in a classroom at this point?
So we do monitor that through our administrators, through conversations, and through visits to classrooms. That is why we want to make sure that this is clear in our policy so it's a lot more clear for everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may. I am a civics teacher, and I oftentimes have to have different forms of government discussed in the classroom with images that include the Nazi flag. They include flags of independent parties and such. My biggest concern would be the policy contain language that would allow that to continue because it's relevant to the class. And I understand you're saying it will be, but I'm really curious as to what the way the language is going to be written. I agree that, as a civics teacher, I was asked today, what do I feel about a certain thing, or what do I think about a certain thing? And I'm Switzerland as far as that's concerned. I don't tell them my own personal viewpoint. That's not my job. My job is to teach them to think for themselves. And if they have questions about things like that, then they should speak to their parents. So I'm just curious as to what, if any, language is going to be used for that. Has anything been written out as of yet?
So we do have a very rough draft initial just to kind of get an idea of what this might look like. And I think what you're speaking to specifically in civics is if it's directly connected to the curriculum, then language would be included in the policy that says that is permissible and okay. Because we understand that this type of policy can be complicated because we want to make sure it's not too narrow. We don't want it to be too broad, so it can actually provide a structure that's beneficial for our staff. But the way, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but we're going to review with you the next steps. And I think a large part of that is we're going to do an initial first draft, and then we're going to get some feedback from stakeholders and then present it to the board. Our anticipated date to actually have this before the board won't be until our October monthly meeting, which is towards the end of October.
Sure.
So we don't want to rush it for those exact reasons.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Bell, can I? I think one other piece to that, and Mrs. Jordan just did a great job explaining it, is we want to make sure we do this right. And in order for us to do this right is we want to make sure that we have numerous stakeholders, you all, as well as others taking a look at this, including our attorneys. We want to make sure that we are providing them the opportunity to give you all the pros and cons to this so that we are doing it right to meet what the spirit of what you all are looking for. Also to make sure that we are putting the right information on our walls that doesn't cross any lines, but also does not prevent our teachers that do have this in their curriculum to essentially walk on eggshells because they're not sure what they can put on walls and what they can't. We don't want to create more barriers, as we just talked about, in regards to recruitment and retention, in regards to bringing teachers into Frederick County to have these items that should go on the wall or shouldn't. We want to make sure that that's very clear. We have seen, and Mrs. Jordan has done a fabulous job of pulling other policies across the Commonwealth in regards to what this looks like. And quite honestly, there are some other divisions that we've taken some of their renditions of what they have, but we want to make sure that it's very clear in regards to what we're expecting our teachers. That there isn't any room for, well, I'm not sure what this means, or I think I can put this up, but I'm not clear. We want to make sure that it's clear for you all and it's clear for our teachers so that we can continue to keep our good staff.
Mr. Chair, have we looked at the Shenandoah County flag policy?
Yes, that has been one of several that we've taken a look at.
'Cause
But if I may, Mr. Sturdivant, is that one specifically flags, and there's a lot of information missing out of that this particular policy will cover, so that there isn't any confusion in regards to what goes on the walls or not. So we are looking at that, but this one is going to be better, and this one is going to be easier for individuals to clearly understand what should go on walls and what shouldn't.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may, is there a plan along with this new policy, will it be part of 512P or will it be 512A-P or?
Right now, it's probably going to be 213P, which is in our administration section.
Okay. The reason I ask is that once this policy is adopted, I think it would behoove us to include this in the new teacher training and even do a training with our existing teachers so that they're clear on what the policy is and what they can and can't do. Is that something that you're planning on doing, Dr. Hummer, Archbishop Hummer?
Yes, we are. Any new policy, we always like to communicate out and discuss any training that comes along with that, and this will be one of them. And also, too, Mr. Bell, if I may, and Mr. Chair, if I may, this is why we want to seek feedback and input from staff, from administrators, so that we are very clear on how this will roll out, and we also want to make sure we're not missing anything. So, yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you.
Jordan, anything else?
Nope, that is
Okay. Any other questions? Moving on. Okay, so similar to that intro, we're going to introduce the idea of an employee code of conduct. So the same way that we did a student code of conduct, rolling this out for an employee code of conduct. Many large and small organizations have a code of conduct. It's a very high level 30,000 view of just general expectations and guidelines that we want to impress upon our staff so that we're all on the same page. It aligns typically with a mission, vision, and values. What you normally see would also include an employee code of conduct. This is not to replace policy. It's really just to put many of our existing policies in one succinct place in an overarching document so that our employees really buy into what you see there is benefits, right? We're being clear. Clear is kind, as I heard from our amazing communications director in one of our trainings. Building that awareness around expected behaviors. So when people know what to expect, it's a lot easier to hold folks accountable. And so opening up those dialogue avenues, increasing engagement, all of these things play a really significant role in improving recruitment and retention because we are being clear to folks about expectations for behavior in the workplace. So much like we have a student code of conduct, it is not abnormal to see an employee code of conduct, so we're taking that next step in that way too. So any questions that I can answer for you there, just
Mr.
initially?
Chair?
Yes, sir.
This employee code of conduct, does this only serve the employees in the workplace, or does this also include their conduct outside of the workplace?
So I just jotted down, we have a really loose structure in place so far. So much like what Ms. Jordan just said in terms of socializing anything to you to get feedback, what we would be talking about in an employee code of conduct would be things like respect and courtesy, communication, collaboration and teamwork, conflict resolution, professionalism and integrity, things like that. So we know that as an employee of the school division, we are absolutely ingrained foundationally in our communities, right? Our schools are the foundation of our communities. And so with that, there comes a certain level of expectation for respectable representation. So I can't speak to specifics as to exactly what the language will speak to, but I can say that professionalism would more than likely be encouraged in all avenues.
I see.
You will carry that out other than just saying professionalism, though, correct? I mean, there are specific things that employees probably shouldn't be doing on their personal time that
Right.
should be addressed.
We will have examples, and we will certainly fill that out. It's not just going to be what I just listed out, and then, that's it. There will be explanation. There will be, direction and guidance, because we do, again, going back to the clear is kind, we want to be clear in what FCPS, gives as a guideline for professionalism.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was my next question.
I'm sorry, I stole your thunder. I do
Yeah.
apologize.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, there's a long list.
Oh, I said a bad word, sorry.
And I'll just say, I cited my sources like a good grad school student at the bottom. So in this presentation, if you want some additional information on more benefits, I would definitely click on that link. I'm not going to try it now because I think IT would kill me. But, when we talk about more benefits, it's really just building that trust with our employees and being clear with them. So.
Mr. Chair, is this employee code of conduct going to include the way a teacher dresses?
So like I said, it's a pretty high level document, and it's not really, outlining a dress code, I believe would be something that, would have to be determined at a higher level.
Okay,
Getting into specifics like that, I'm not aware of any surrounding
good.
districts that,
No, I
Deploy
agree.
a
I think
specific
it should
dress
be on a
code right now?
case by case.
right.
Certainly you shouldn't wear pants that say juicy on them when you're a teacher, or a student for that matter, but I'm just thinking a case by case is a better way to do it.
So let me show you what unless there are any more questions, I'll show you what next steps look like, and then we can talk about specifics of the language.
Okey dokey.
Okay. Okay, so like Ms. Jordan said, we're going to be crafting and socializing a very rough first draft to various stakeholder groups for feedback. That's really important for us because much like the classroom decor and flags, this is going to impact real people. It's going to impact our people, and as HR, we are the place to take care of people. So we want to make sure that we're getting a wide variety of stakeholder feedback. We'll edit that draft to reflect the stakeholder feedback, present a draft to the board, and then based on your feedback as well, we'll work to finalize and implement, hopefully by October. And then the idea is communicate, communicate, communicate. We don't want this to be a surprise to anybody, hence why you're getting a soft intro as part of Personnel Committee from the classroom decor as well as Employee Code of Conduct. We want that feedback. We want people to be a part of writing this because, like I said, it is a tool for us to help build trust and get everybody on an even playing field where it comes to understanding clear expectations. Any extra questions? Anybody else? All right, not hearing any. Here's our recap of what we accomplished in our time together this evening. We're happy to entertain any other questions you guys might have.
Look at me.
Come on, you got something.
Possible.
No?
Okay, no questions?
I move that we adjourn, sir.
I second that motion.
The motion has been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We are adjourned.